Welcome back to Project Freelance. My name is Kay Inigonio. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the show. This show is all about freelancing. We talk to different creators, different entrepreneurs every single week that have built a freelancing career. It doesn't matter what they do. We've talked to wedding planners, we've talked to life coaches, we've talked to photographers, musicians. We've talked about tons of different types of freelancing on this show over the past couple of years, and I have loved creating this podcast, and I've loved doing it weekly. It's something that I really enjoy doing and really enjoy being a part of. So thank you guys for continuously listening to the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the show, please hit that subscribe button, because this week I am talking to a guy named Peter who started a website called Overflight Stock, which is a stock video website where he gets requests from major motion pictures, TV shows, documentaries, and all different types of mediums, where he basically puts out requests for stock footage, and his community goes out and films the stuff, sends it in to him, and then they get paid. That's stock video for you. I'm super excited to talk to Peter today. I recently flew, I'll talk about it later in the show, but I recently flew some aerials for the show Lucifer, and I hope that they get bought, and I hope that they get used in the show, because it would be really cool to see my footage in a major TV show, because then I could add it to my portfolio, and then that will just help me grow as a creator. So before we get into the show, there are a couple housekeeping things. First of all, if you like the show at any point in time, please do me a huge favor and leave a rating and feedback, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. It helps this podcast grow, and it helps give us some quality feedback. I love reading that feedback. It helps me as a host of this show. And if you do leave a rating and feedback on Apple Podcasts, I will actually send you a signed photo print that I have taken. And this week, if you leave one on the show, I will send you an aerial photo that I have taken, signed, just for you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you listening to the show. I do need to thank our partner, Liquid Death Water. If you've never heard of Liquid Death Water, hey, get ready to murder your thirst with this ad. In 3, 2, 1. From the streams of the Austrian Alps comes a new kind of water. A water that is sure to raise you from your grave. If you're tired of buying cases of plastic water bottles that contain carcinogens and God knows what else, or if you're trying to lower your waste footprint, Liquid Death comes in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. Murder your thirst with a can of Liquid Death. Check the link in the description and use code JustTheLetterK at checkout for 10% off your order. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. So yeah, if you guys want a discount on some awesome water, head to liquiddeath.com and use the code JustTheLetterK at checkout, or hit the link in the description. That will take you directly to the site with that affiliate code applied. I think it's applied. I don't know. I haven't used it, but yeah, use code JustTheLetterK regardless, and you can get 10% off your order of water. Thank you, Liquid Death, for partnering with me on this show. I appreciate it a ton. And the last thing I want to let you guys know about is a book that I have, a photography book called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. You see, when I'm not freelancing, I explore abandoned places, and I decided to make a book about it about a year ago. So if you guys want to get a copy of that book, or if you want to see some of my photographs from abandoned places, head to notracers.com/shop, and you can pick up a copy of the book there, or a photo print, or you can read my blog, whatever you want to do. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Project Freelance. Let's get into this episode. Peter, please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the Project Freelance audience.
Yeah, hi. My name's Peter Chigmaroff, and I'm the founder of Overflight Stock. We're kind of a small niche agency that specializes in mostly aerials, I would say. And of those mostly aerials, it's mostly generated by drone operators. We definitely take in footage and stills for that matter. Not so much stills, but mostly footage from other sources, and we love getting them from helicopter pilots and people with larger shot overs and whatnot. But it tends to be mostly from drone people. I mean, I've been in stock for a long, long time. Back when we used to stick little labels on slides and send those off to stock agencies and whatnot, and have seen the industry, progress and grow and ungrow over the years. And I don't know, it was about 6 years ago. You could just see things. It really is more difficult for contributors. I don't think you need to go to too many websites or forums to find out that being a full time stock photographer, or I guess videographer, I'm going to use that word completely interchangeably. Um, it's just nowhere near as easy as it used to be. I mean, it used to be quite a simple thing to as long as you were a competent photographer and follow some general business practices, you were probably in there. Well, where now it's not so much. Anyway, so the choice was, what do I do with the rest of my working career? And I saw drones coming in. I love aerials. I'm a sort of a regular fixed wing pilot. Um, and thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to try and operate sort of the other side of the business, which is running an agency. And I started. I mean, I was the sole contributor. I think we were back in 2016. I think is when I started. And it didn't take too long to start bringing in guys. You would get on LinkedIn and whatnot, and now we have several hundred people who contribute on a regular basis, and we kind of developed and grew our own little methods. Not trying to follow what all the big agencies were doing. I mean, there was really no chance we were ever going to be a Shutterstock or a Pond 5. I mean, these people were either in there early or have received, large amounts of money from venture capitalists and whatnot to get their business growing. And then I talked to a fellow. He was a ex-Corbis account executive. He licensed a lot of footage, and he got laid off from Corbis when they sold out. And of course, Corbis is the big was a Gates-owned interest. I guess it was second biggest agency, I think, in the world for a long time, next to Getty, and yeah, Gates just kind of parceled it up and sold it off, and he had nothing to do. He sat around for a couple of years, and then he joined me, by taking care of all the licensing and pricing, and sort of helping me build ideas of how the whole thing should be shaped. Anyway, I'm going to call it. It's not quite a nutshell there, but I'm going to leave it at that and let you let me ask you
For sure.
something else.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I mean, what made you want to get into stock photography and video in the first place? Like, take me back to the very beginning. Like, what made you catch the bug for doing this kind of
Oh
thing?
well, this goes back to when I met my wife. So she's an engineer by trade, and we were quite young. I mean, we were, I guess, in our 20s and whatnot, and we were looking for the kind of the nomadic traveling lifestyle, and we both had secure jobs and whatnot. And then it was really quite funny. I mean, she found an I think it was an ad that came in the mail for a 1 year fly around the world ticket. You used to be able to do that. You could start here in Vancouver and then just keep flying east or west until you got back, and you could do this for a year. And she said, "Wouldn't this be fun?" I didn't think it was going to be fun at all. Um, and but you know what? After a while, we hashed out this plan. So we bought a Volkswagen van, and we just kind of turned hippie for a while. And we lived in the van. We traveled all over North America for a year. We drove down to Cabo San Lucas, and then just slowly migrated northward with the weather. And then at that time, I had a job, and I was at it for about 12 years. It was a good job as a technical engineer, and I just got tired of it. It was weird, like I just needed a change. And I heard other people doing photography, and then we looked. Oh, we heard about this thing called stock photography. Wouldn't this be cool? You just kind of take pictures, and people send you money. And and we started, and it took a while to get into a decent agency and to find out how to do it. I mean, if I had a decent mentor, they could have figured it out fairly quickly. Um, and it existed, and you could make a full-time living doing this, and we did. So we traveled around, and a lot over the years, taking months and months and months off to do all kinds of different things, buying a boat. We sailed all over, and yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. um yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's amazing that you guys went on these like adventures together. I love that. And like that's the best way to start as like a stock photographer is just go on adventures, take photos and upload them and get that money, you know? But like you said, like it's totally different now. Like you used to be able to make like for example, like a lot more money than say now on like Shutterstock or Adobe Stock or Pond 5 or whatever. Now it's like you're getting pennies for your stuff. So what like how have you seen it kind of change over the years?
Well, I mean, initially it really was just these photo banks, and they were largely independently owned, and there was many, many of them, and it was no different than a lot of other businesses that were just kind of mom and pop shops. They may have one employee, they may have 10. Some were quite a bit larger. A lot were concentrated in the big business centers, where the ad agencies existed, because they literally had to take all these slides out of drawers after they got a phone request, and they'd get them there by either a bicycle courier or maybe a, um, FedEx or something like that, and all this stuff would travel around by FedEx and other couriers, and we literally had to take slides, and I mean that's a word, or an upload was stuffing this stuff into a cardboard box and shipping it to a stock agency, and they would take it, and they would I guess get requests from people of what they wanted, and then I think after a while, what was discovered is that the catalog, the almighty catalog, came into play, and it was a fantastic idea. So you would take maybe 1,000 to 3,000 of the very, very, very best images that you got, or you not, and best meaning like, wow, these are so cool images. No, 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 the ones that looked good, but they had utility. They had utility in advertising. They had utility in wherever it was that photos were being used at the time, which was, I guess, largely in print. Um, Magazines, newspapers, annual reports used to be a really, really big uh, business as well. So all these different locations, and then these would be sent out to picture buyers all over the world. These catalogs, and from there, I would say, I'm going to take a guess, 80% probably of all sales from that agency, maybe depending exactly how the agency was run, was probably done from those catalogs. So it was vital as a stock photographer during that era of the world of time that you had your pictures in these catalogs, and and everybody lived and died by how many these shots you'd get in, because once they were in, millions of eyes would see them, and can you imagine being in a business right now where you are only competing with 3,000 or 2,000 other
Wow.
photographs, okay, to everybody, and they used to pay big for usages. I mean, it was not
Yeah.
uncommon for a good size usage to be $5,000 20 years ago, or
Wow.
$10,000. It was not uncommon at all, you know, and for this you would get 50%. Okay, so anyway, I'm kind of living in. This is all nostalgia.
That's crazy though. No,
What's that?
it's insane to hear like the turnaround, like the return for these things back then.
Yeah, yeah, and because it was all on a sort of a rights managed model. It was like, if you're gonna, depending on who was going to use it and for what, it had a different value, and we at Overflight Stock still try to do that. I mean, I don't know, I can't really shake it that a clip being used in a major motion picture, that's $100 million has been spent on, should be paying $79 for a clip, or
Yeah.
$150. It boggles my brain. I mean, you take a look. I live here in Vancouver, West Van, and I there's a spot down here by the Camp Dam where there's just not always, but a lot of films are made there. Okay, and every time I walk through there walking my dog, I take a look and I think to myself, these guys are spending more putting up signs that say, there's a film being made,
Yeah.
okay, than they will spend probably on the stock to put in the film that's being made.
Wow.
And where is that? Where is that right? Anyway.
Mm.
Uh,
No, you're right. You're totally right, man.
um, yeah.
It's crazy, like you said, to see how it's changed over the years, and it's cool to hear how it used to be, because I came into it relatively recently, within the past couple of years. So I didn't even know that you could get like up to $5,000 for a clip back then. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've actually managed to get that much for clips
Sure.
now, believe it or not. But they were for very high end uses, big, big advertising uses. People will pay that much for them still. Even on a non-exclusive basis,
Mhm.
we've seen this come through a few times. So, but it's is it like winning the lottery?
Yeah,
Almost.
for sure.
From a contributor perspective, maybe not quite, but it's pretty rare.
Right.
It really is. Where it was commonplace. I mean, photographers would phone their agencies livid, threatening the end of, any relationship if they got a sale of less than, $500.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, things change for sure.
Yeah, and I think, the market became super saturated when Adobe Stock launched and Shutterstock and all these other different companies.
Yeah, it's incremental.
Mhm.
If you look over time, there's never been any one sort of event that you could say, wow, that was just a game
Yeah.
changer, or that really, excuse me, changed the way the world is, the stock world is going to operate. But it, not thousands, maybe thousands, I don't know, hundreds of incremental changes over
Mhm.
time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So whenever you started Overflight Stock, like what was your goal with it? Like what did you want to come out of that, and how did you launch it?
Well, I had to find out. I mean, there's all this sort of background work that needs to be done. You need to find a way of hosting it. Pictures are no problem now on the web, but even videos, th- th- they're technically not difficult. They're pricey.
Mhm.
That's what it amounts to. So people say storage doesn't really cost that much, and there's the whole cloud, but it's actually when you multiply out you know bits times numbers of clips and all the rest of it, it works out to a fair amount of money. So you have to figure out a way to do it economically, so some way that a business model will actually yield some income, and a website to do it with. So all of that was sort of done, and then quite literally I just kind of put it live one day, and I didn't know who to send to or what, and I would just get on the phone and I would find people that were picture buyers and researchers and phone them, introduce myself, and ask them what they do. And at that time, because we had so little to offer in the way of clips, we rarely had anything in our catalog that would, you know, uh, be worthy of sending them. So I would spend the next half of the day tracking down contributors, potential contributors, who might be able to send me a few clips that would make this possible, and this started to work this way. And then to this day, I still do a lot of that, because it connects the contributor to something real. It's not just a, well, if you send me these, maybe I'll sell them in a
Mhm.
year, which is fine. I mean, I think all stock is predicated on that very idea. However, it's also very nice, if you're getting into it, that you have at least some goal. I mean, it is stock, and it's strictly speculative when it comes to sending in any type of clip. Even the most guaranteed of usages fall through for a number of different reasons. That's nobody's fault. Things just hit the cutting room floor, or a scene changes, or who knows what happens, or they just find a better clip from somebody else. um, but anyway, so this allowed me to connect with a lot of different people, buyers and sellers, not buyers but providers, the contributors, and many of them just like the idea of actually talking to somebody about this. And I mean, a lot of them are in it for the money, and they should be. They should definitely get reimbursed for everything they do, um, or at least have the potential to be. And um, yeah, so that allowed it to grow, and people would send in more and more, and the collection would build and build and build. And now, I'm in a nice position where a lot of requests we get, I just look in the catalog and say, you know what, I can't think of getting any better clips than we already have. And these people contributed, so the request doesn't even go out to our Facebook page or to any individual person. It just gets filled. And many of these get filled every day to different requests. And then when Andrew came in, he helped a lot by introducing us to just a ton of different contacts he used to have in the industry. And then he also knew, which I was really naive about, how difficult it is to get in and actually be a contributor to the large studios.
Mhm.
They have legal departments that are nothing short of, um, well, they're hard to get by. He said, we are going to spend the next who knows how long nuancing and use license agreements to fit with these people's um, needs, but they have to be done in a way that we protect ourselves and our contributors. And this, it was a real chore. It was I couldn't believe how many times I went back, sat down, and had to, like, massage a clause to not give away the farm, and but satisfy some lawyer who I never really often talk to uh, need. But once those are in place, they become gold because they allow anybody who works with that studio to now work with us. So it doesn't really matter if they're a subcontractor or they're just a little place. They have to work through this group of so-called preferred vendors. So and we got those over time through a lot of those, and that really helped a lot. So we just get there's these want lists that go out every day from these different places, and we just fill them, and hopefully, and periodically we send the master and make the sale, and that's that.
It's so cool. Like I love hearing about the process of how you make this happen because like I only see the side that I see, which is me getting a request and going out and filming and then hopefully keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that we make a sale.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot that goes on every
Mm.
day. I mean, we're just like I'm pretty much at it, 10, 12 hours a day for sure,
Wow.
in one capacity or another. I mean, then we have all the stuff that just gets brought in on a regular basis, and needs to be cataloged and keyworded. And some is done well, some I have to add to. But I used to, yeah, there's not many clips that come in that I don't actually look at least a little bit. I mean, if you're a regular contributor and I really learn that you produce really great stuff, I don't spend much time on each clip. I just make sure, based on what I see in the cover, that the keywording is good. Add a little bit, get the proxies made, and upload it all. New people have to spend a bit more time, and I do. I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of contributors all the time who just have questions and stuff like that, and I try to take all the time that it needs to talk with these different people, and get them moving in the right direction. Um,
I love that you're so like hands on with it. I love that you get it. You're so involved with the process, and I think that that's super important when you're running a business, but also when you're doing something like what you're doing. I think it's vital to be in touch with people and answer their questions and be a part of it.
oh, it has to be part of it. I mean, if somebody told me you now have to not talk to anybody, you're at a point where you can get some AI to do everything in that. I don't know. Would it really be worth it?
Mm.
I can sit here all by myself. I have to hire a couple of people just so I have somebody to talk to. Right now, I have somebody to talk to all the time, and even though I so-called work by myself, I don't work by myself at
Mm.
all. I mean, we live in a world now where I'm chatting to you over this beautiful audio, and yeah, the connections are great, and it's the same thing with Andrew. I mean, that's why he decided to. I think actually, I mean, he decided to work with me. Is that he just said, I just need to connect with somebody. I'm too old or too young to retire, and I'm too old to go work for these other people who where I'm just going to be kind of a I don't know, whatever. So he's got all these friends, and you could see it in the emails and stuff. Andrew, great to hear from you again. Wow, where you been? What are you doing? So all these relationships that he built over the years, he can enjoy again.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of networking in this industry?
Oh, I don't know if you can ever do enough. Honestly, yeah, it's really important. I mean, if I could do it all the time, I would just. Oh, sorry about that. If I could do it all the time, I would just be on the phone to talking to either contributors or to buyers all the time. You know, I mean, a lot of them are, as you can expect, when you phone somebody, and this is what I found. It was really kind of odd when I started at the beginning. I am not fit to be somebody like a telemarketer. Um, and, you would phone and you could see right away there's this like push off
Mm.
happening. And if I could for like 3 seconds just explain who I was, it's like, oh, oh, how you doing? And then we'd have a long chat. We talk about the kids, whatever, because we were on the same side. We were on the same side. We're really just all I'm trying to do is make your life easier.
Mm.
I've got stuff. If you need it, I'll work with you. I won't bug you. And as soon as that was done, it was good. And that's sort of the first step to networking. I guess there's easier ways to do this. You can go to well, with COVID, where can you go? You can't go anywhere, right?
True.
There was a time where there were. I didn't get to many of them, and I put them on my to do list. And there are trade shows that you can go. Different footage companies gather at, and all the different buyers come to studio reps and whatnot. You get a chance to meet a lot of people, face to face. So I mean, those still exist. Good old fashioned trade shows where you pay a bunch of money to spend time at a hotel, but I think that they're worthwhile. If it was just all email blasts, um, and because they're a lot cheaper, that's all we'd be doing. But no, those still exist. So yeah, networking's big.
Huge. Yeah. And are you at the point where you're still reaching out to people, or are you at the point where people are coming to you exclusively?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different angles to this business. Like there's this whole network of professional researchers, okay? And companies go to these researchers because they're good at finding stuff that's difficult to find, or even finding stuff that's not difficult to find. They're just good at getting a decent clips for whatever show. So a lot of these people know us, and they just go everywhere. And you see them on the website. Like if you look at my like the Google Analytics page, from some obscure little place in the U.S., and it's that person all the time, and they're just kind of looking around. And those kind of people rarely actually, and then they'll look around, and if they find something somewhere, they're usually, I guess, fill whatever job it is that they're doing. And then, but they don't sometimes find it. So then the requests go out. Have you got this, Pete? Can you get this? Have you looked at this? And I don't know who else they do this with. Whoever else does this sort of runs this sort of angle, I'm sure that they also get an email from them, and then we just start working with them, and saying how much time have you got, and that's when I start going out to you guys. And sometimes I'll go directly, like a general email blast, or I used to do those, pardon me, not so much anymore, but I'll definitely post it on the Facebook page, or sometimes if it's really specialized and I know there's somebody in some little place in the U.S. or wherever, I will just contact them, say, have you got this? Can you get it? Because they have to be somebody close by. And if I can't find anybody like that, I'll literally just phone. I'll just Google, I don't know, someplace in the world, drone services, and then see what Google provides. And I start calling people. And I meet a lot of good people that way too. We filled a lot of requests from just guys I called up and chatted up for a little bit.
Wow.
And girls. This is non-gender
For sure.
specific. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. And when did the Facebook page come into play? When did you launch that, and how has that helped you in this business, really?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly can't remember the launch date. I would say a couple of years ago at least. I just needed a way to communicate these requests to as many people as I could. Um, excuse me. So I think there was somebody else actually doing something similar. So it was just a matter of not really necessarily being a copycat, but thinking to myself, yeah, I mean, why not? That seems to make total
Mm.
sense. I was sending out emails to a lot of people, and um, I could put a standard thing on my website, but would how many people? It's really a matter of how many people you can
Mm-hmm.
reach, and most people seem to be on Facebook, and there's notification systems for those who want it, and not for those who just want to periodically look and whatnot. So yeah, that's the idea. I often think, can I make it better? Is there a way that I can juggle this whole thing, maybe on a regular web page or something like that? But I haven't really arrived at what I would think is better. And then to change it always upsets stuff. Once something gets established, there has to be a really good reason for it to evolve into something
Mm-hmm.
else. Like, I can't think of a reason why. So
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And, I love, having the notifications on Facebook. And oftentimes I'll see a request come in and I'll be like, oh, I already have that. Or, I can get this because I'm a mile away from where it needs to be filmed, So it's like, it's very helpful, and it's very cool to be a part of something like this. So, I mean, I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you for creating that Facebook group.
oh, that's this is totally one of these mutual symbiotic things, because thank you for being there, and sending the in footage and that for us to be able to send to these, because it really helps us grow. I mean, every time we get a request from a client, even though we don't make the sale, we've filled it, and we filled it with something substantially interesting and totally to the point, and they look at us as being a viable partner in what it is that they do. So they reach out to us, more consistently, or sometimes even I'll see. I mean, emails all have either you can tell by the header where it's going, or at least that it's going to multiple people, even if it's to one of these do not reply
Mm.
things. And then, but a lot of times they come just to us because they think that we'll be the people who can most likely give them something, or maybe give us an opportunity to be first on it. Just to because we're young, and we're not very big. So yeah, we well, why not give us a hand?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, it's definitely a two-way thing. And the other thing I hope the Facebook page does is give shooters an idea of the vast variety of uh, clips that are really
Hmm.
needed in this industry. Because really, I see, and I was like this. I'm totally guilty of this. So I'm just going to go with my own experience and not even judge anybody else. I gauged early on a photograph by its wow merit, and in stock, it's I don't know if that's really like where down the list that is, but it's like a long way from the top. The clip or the photo has to be functional. It has to fit a need. Okay, and sometimes wow is a big part of that, but a lot of times it's not. I mean, there was one time early on we needed a shot of Seattle in the rain. Okay, so how difficult can that be?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
really think about it. Like there's like 300
Yeah.
days a year you can
Yeah.
shoot that. Okay, and another and another 30 that look
Right.
rainy. Okay, I mean, okay, so so, but do you think I could find a shot like that? No, not a chance, not a chance. In the end, they had to. I saw the movie, and they had to get a clip on a grade A, and then CGI the
Oh my
raining.
God.
Okay, of okay, so you know. Yeah, so it's not just about pretty. So if you're really serious about it and you want to really think about it, you kind of look at what's displayed on movies at any given time, and you start to be able to differentiate what was shot and what was inserted with stock, or what could have been inserted with stock, all the b-roll, and there's a lot on movies and documentaries and whatnot, and you take it from there. That you can go out on a bad day and be productive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think about shows, like Grey's Anatomy, who, we were just talking about Seattle, they have so much stock footage of Seattle that it's like, it's crazy. Like, like you can shoot any day and you never know what a show or a movie is going to need. So, I mean, for all the videographers out there, just keep shooting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's and oh yeah, that really does actually a really good point. Is never look back.
Mhm.
Okay, like try. It's oh, you know, this used to be more the case than now because of the just the competition level. But people will get these sort of winner shots that just are runaway bestsellers. At least this is used to be the way it was. And then as a photographer, you would think to yourself, well, if this made me this much money, I have to get something
Mm.
similar. And it's almost like chasing it's like you never catch
It's
it
like
again.
chasing
Like
the Northern Lights.
yeah, or the
Yeah.
rainbow, the pot of gold. Like you just never find it, and you were lucky for whatever reasons you hit this shot that just resonated, with everything that it needed to be. With anybody, all markets, all people, but you can't replicate it necessarily. You just can't necessarily replicate
Mm.
it. So you go forward, you learn, you get new stuff. When you go into a place to shoot, just try to make every shot a little bit different. Once you've flown something and you feel confident that you've gotten it, don't refly it because you think it needs to be a lateral or
Mm.
something like that. Really do try to mix it up. Change your altitude, change the position, maybe make it a reveal out of a tree or something like that, or I'm not sure, or just move, just go fly somewhere
Yeah.
else, and try stay away. I mean, grab the iconic thing that you're after. I mean, what I see oftentimes, let's say you go someplace in Europe and there's this big, beautiful cathedral, and there's like 50 clips of this cathedral from every possible move. But I ask myself, like, what's to the left, to the right, and behind you? Like, why do I not even see one clip of
Mm.
that? Like, those are really important areas. Okay, why haven't you like gotten lower to this, street level? Why is there not a top down? Why all these different varieties? And really, you have to be able to get out there and get these varieties. If you have to, write them all down. Just look through all the possible ways that you can do a shot, write it down, and go through them all. And then, if you're up there and there's still a battery, go someplace else or come back later. Night days can be quite important in a lot of areas too. If you can capture the same exact scene both night and day, there's a lot of requests that come through with that. Um, so anyway.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love everything you just said. I think that's super important to, check your angles and reshoot and just move on, I think that's important to not dwell on a spot, especially if you've gotten what you think you need, There's so much good in moving on, especially like you said, if you have battery left, go somewhere else, get a different angle, try a different shot, do something else, try something different.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 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 and that'll just provide for a much broader um, selection
Mhm.
you have in your portfolio. It just makes it, yeah, makes it more valuable
Definitely.
for sure.
So,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on here. My last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh, that's I mean, there's got to be like 1,000 things. Um, what do I wish I? Oh, you should have asked me this earlier. I would have thought of something. I wouldn't be sitting here
This is
mumbling.
the one that gets everyone. Don't worry.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh, what did I? Sorry, Kay. Just let me
Yeah,
think for
yeah,
2
sure.
seconds here. You can even talk about something else, and I'll just
For
think.
sure. Yeah. So, guys, I've been shooting a couple things for Overflight Stock. I recently got a request to shoot for the show Lucifer at the Hollywood Magic Castle, which I had never been to. So, not only with these opportunities are you getting to fly really cool things and places, but you could also get to go to places you've never been, which I think is one of the most exciting parts about shooting stock photography and stock video. So, I mean, again, just a huge thank you to Peter for creating Overflight Stock and allowing us to explore and discover and find new places that we now love and get to capture. For shows that we never thought we would be able to be a part of. So it's been a really cool journey.
I can't. I just I think the trouble is just there's like not the trouble, but it's just there was one learning experience after another, and I don't know how many times I've probably said that to myself, that very phrase. I wish I knew this before, so I could at least prepare myself for how much time it was going to take. Certainly, like I talked about like the getting these end use license agreements hammered out. I mean, we have an end use license agreement on our site, and people can read it, but to be honest, that's just it's hardly used. It's really hardly used. Most people have a specified master agreement in place, that's different to the next guys. Just because even though they all say roughly the same thing, um, they're worded differently to properly work with whatever legal department we're in. I mean, that's just one example. I wish I knew how much time that was going to take, and then I could just prepare myself for it, so I could do it. But there's just like so many of these things that I just like I mean, it's got to be at every stage of the business, where it's just I just wish I knew that. I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that.
For sure.
So anyway, yeah.
Awesome. So again, thank you for coming on Project Freelance. If people want to get involved with Overflight Stock, or if they want to maybe pick your brain some more, how can they go about getting a hold of you and finding a way to work?
Oh, I think I mean, if you want to be a contributor, just go to the site overflightstock.com, and there's a contributor tab up top. Just go down, and there's also a contact thing, but there's a couple of links that'll tell you a little bit about us and the current agreements and whatnot, and then you can get a hold of me through that. There's a little form you can fill out. Um,
Awesome.
we have, and I will say to people who might be listening who are buyers, is and this is unfortunately COVID has really put a nix on this, but I spent last year developing a driving plate rig. So it's a 9 camera, multi-angle camera system that'll go on cars that films driving plates for inserts in driving scenes and shows. Um, so I had a chance to use it here and test it here in the Vancouver area, and it was supposed to get down. I have a good friend in Los Angeles who's going to take it from there, and another friend in Texas, and we're going to move it around the country. And I was hoping even to get it over to the UK all by about this time this year, but of course it's just sitting here getting dusty. Um, and It'll also be, I think, it works well with our business. It attracts buyers because they're the same buyers. Anybody who's working in movies tends to use driving plates, and they tend to use aerials. So it'll go back and forth and probably help drive sales in both websites. But that's a whole different separate website now. So anyway, that's it.
All right, guys, that was Peter from Overflight Stock. I loved talking to him. That was such an insightful episode, and I hope you guys got a lot out of that. If you want to start doing stock photography or a stock video, more importantly, when it comes to Overflight Stock, and you want to get involved, just go to overflightstock.com and you can start uploading today. Join the Facebook group. I've put the links down in the description for you guys. That Facebook group is amazing. He puts requests up there almost on a daily basis, if not, multiple times a day for requests he gets from major motion pictures, TV shows, Netflix series, things like that. Like I was talking about Lucifer, the show, the Netflix show. I recently flew some aerials for that, which was super cool. And there's a lot more that I hope to do in the future with the Overflight Stock. I like it more than, Adobe Stock or Shutterstock or Pond 5, just because it's more personable, and you can actually just message Peter and ask him questions, as you go, which is super awesome. I love just being able to connect with another human and not just, blindly just upload a bunch of content. So thank you guys for listening to another episode of Project Freelance. If you enjoyed it, please do me a huge favor and leave a rating and feedback. That helps this podcast grow. And if you do leave a rating and feedback, I will actually send you a signed photo print that I have taken. So if you guys want a free signed photo print, all you got to do is take the 30 seconds it takes to leave a rating and feedback on the podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure if you can even rate the show if you're on Spotify or Anchor or Podbeam. I don't even know if there's a rating system over there, but I do know on Apple Podcasts you can rate the show. So yeah, do that for me. Thank you guys. And if you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to subscribe for more. Go check out some past episodes. And I will talk to you guys next Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another episode of Project Freelance. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Stay strong, keep enduring, go out, and go create something.